This is my full review of the On Cloudflow. After just over 380 kilometres, about 240 miles, a little bit past midlife by now. They're holding up pretty well, a little bit of wear on the soles, but otherwise still in good condition. I expect to get up to about 650 kilometres or 400 miles in these. They are a lightweight, neutral runner from Switzerland. They're best suited to faster workouts, tempo runs, threshold intervals, track workouts. But my wife, Elaine, and I have used these from everything from recovery runs to races. They're a very versatile runner. These have a stack height of 22 mil in the heel and 16 mil in the forefoot. That's a ramp or difference of 6 mil. The weight, this is a US 11.5, and that's 273 grams or 9.6 ounces. Obviously the advertised weight's different because they weigh a smaller shoe, usually men's size 9. If we look at Elaine's, this is a US 8.5 women's, and this is only 228 grams or 8 ounces. So the same runner in different sizes, significant difference in weight. I tend to regard the Saucony Kinvara as the benchmark for lightweight, versatile trainers. The stack height's very similar. The Kinvara has a touch more cushion in the forefoot, which means the ramp is 4 mil instead of 6 mil. It's 22 grams or 0.7 ounces lighter. You can feel that difference in your hand, but once on their foot, you really can't tell the difference. This is definitely still feels like a lightweight trainer. Compared to the Kinvaras, the Cloudflows have a noticeably narrower toe box. So you might be able to see better from this angle. Now, that doesn't bother Elaine. Her foot fits in here nicely. I prefer a wider, more spacious toe box. I've worked out lacing patterns which more or less overcome that problem, but that means I can't use elastic laces. That lacing pattern won't work, so these are never going to be any good for me in triathlons. The upper is quite comfortable. It's a little bit soft, but there's not much stretch in it. You can see these little holes all the way through, but there's a liner inside, so you can't see my fingers through there. So there's more to the upper than you might immediately think just looking at the outside. The tongue is beautifully and soft. It's sort of like a felt-like material. It means you can actually cinch these laces down quite tight, and it's not going to put any pressure on the top of your feet. The tongue's also gusseted to the sort of sock liner inside, so it's not going to get much movement from side to side. It's going to stay in place. So very happy with the tongue of this shoe. I pull the laces quite tight through the midfoot, and combined with the runner's knot, I get quite a good lockdown on these shoes. I've never had any issue with the heel, no chafing, no moving, slipping, rubbing. All in all, everything about the fit is actually really good except for the toe box. Again, that's more my particular foot shape than anything else, so Elaine doesn't have that problem, but everything else about this shoe is actually really comfy. The unmistakable feature of all On runners are these things they call clouds. That's what gives the cushioning on the shoe. On top or between the clouds and the shoe is this really hard, almost plasticky layer. That's very stiff. So that's what gives you the spring. So where most companies are looking for this new foam midsole that is the best compromise between cushion and energy return, On have done it with two completely independent methods. So the cushion comes from these clouds, and the spring comes from this layer inside here. The cushioning of the Cloudflow is not as much as a Hoka or the New Balance Beacon, but I would say it's more than the Kinvara. And the spring, not as much as the New Balance Freesail Rebel, but again, I think there's more spring in this, more pop than the Kinvara. I find the Cloudflow good on any running surface, pavement, track, trails. They have good ground feel and good grip. The one caveat is they love to pick up debris in this gap here. So on the trails, it's not usually an issue. I don't even notice it until I finish the run. But if you pick up a stone and running on pavement, you are going to hear that every single footstep, and it's not going to dislodge itself. You're going to have to stop and pull that out. So if you're going to be doing like a fast interval or a race or any activity where you really don't want to stop, you have to think about, are you going to pick up any debris, and is this the right shoe for that run course? The strange thing is, Elaine never seemed to really suffer the debris problem, whereas initially I picked up something every single run. But then after about 200 kilometers, 120 miles, it stopped happening. So I don't know if initially it was a different size between Elaine and my runners in that gap, and whether after time it wore down enough that it just softened those edges that it stopped picking it up. Elaine and I bought the Cloudflows and the Kinvaras at the same time. When we raced a half marathon in July last year, we both chose the Cloudflows over the Kinvaras. Even though they're a little bit heavier, they just feel like they had more pop, a bit more of a go fast shoe. I found the Cloudflows fairly good in the half marathon, but a little bit of bruising on the toes with the small toe box. When I did a half Ironman in September, I reverted back to the Kinvaras. We had another half marathon in October, and I actually raced them in the Rincons. And then when we had another half Ironman in February, I actually raced those in a pair of Innovate Tri-Extreme. As you can probably tell, I'm still searching for the perfect long distance racer. I'm hoping the Fuel Cell Rebels are the answer. Elaine raced all the previously mentioned half marathons and half Ironmans in the Cloudflow. She has since bought a second pair, so you can see she's put elastic laces on the original. In fact, Elaine's rotation includes these two pairs of Cloudflows, the Kinvaras, and a Salomon trail running shoe. So as we come towards the end of the video, the pros. They're fairly lightweight, they're good cushioning, not Hoka or Beacon, but still good cushioning, good energy return. The colours meet with Elaine's approval, which is harder than you would think. They seem to last fairly well, and I enjoy running in them. You can tell that when you track the mileage, and some runners just seem to get used more than others. Cons. I would prefer a wider toe box. They pick up debris when you run, and the price. In Australia, these retail for $230, which is on the expensive side when you consider that the Kinvaras are $190 and the Fuel Cell Rebel is $200. Would I buy another pair? Elaine already has bought her second pair, but for me, probably not. So why a yes from Elaine and a no from me? Number one is it fits the shape of Elaine's foot better than it fits mine. Number two, Elaine runs far less than me, so she's looking for a more do-everything shoe. For me, I have a large range of shoes. I like having shoes specific for a run type. So I prefer the Beacons for easy runs, and I prefer the Rebels for fast runs. I hope I've given you some good information about the On Cloudflow. Thanks for watching.